glossary of empowerment. Got a good one today, the shadow frequency. The frequency band relating to all human suffering. So immediately it tells you that it's a band of frequency that you can attune to or not. The shadow frequency band emerges from an ancient wiring in the human brain. Such wiring is based on individual survival and is linked directly to fear. So it's about survival, and you can see how it has its use, or it had its use in our early time where we were on the earth, and we needed that wiring in order to survive. The unconscious presence of fear in our system continues to enhance our belief that we're separate from the world around us. So there's this direct link between a separation from life and our fear. This deep-seated belief propagates a victim mentality, since the moment we believe we're separate, we feel vulnerable and at the mercy of outside forces. See, there was a time, and there are times in our lives, when we don't feel that separation. We feel connected, we feel in trust, we feel supported, we feel faith, we feel, whatever we call it, we feel part of the unity. And therefore we trust in the flow and the dharma of our lives. And we don't feel like we're a victim. We don't feel any longer like we're out of control. We feel like everything is part of a flow and it's connected and there's a perfection to it, even if we don't understand it at this current time. We feel vulnerable at the mercy of outside forces. When we live at the shadow frequency band, then we live within a culture of blame and shame. We blame those forces and people that we believe are outside us, and we feel shame when we believe we are alone. We alone are responsible for our lives. So the shame comes when, through the separation, because you feel like it's, you've done something wrong. It was your responsibility. You made the decision, or you know what I mean. It's like you took it on yourself. Like the weight of the world is upon your shoulders. If you don't make your life worthwhile and valuable, then it won't be worthwhile. You're not worthy. You're not worthwhile. Those kind of thought patterns. And of course, the other one is blame. When you put it outwards, you go, well, it's not my fault. It's the weather, or it's the government, or it's my children, or my partner, or my body, or my health, or it's always something outside of our inner truth that we blame, something, so that we can be a victim of the shadow frequency band. That's how the frequency of it works. Once you begin to understand how the shadow frequency controls the majority of people in the world, including yourself, you realize how simple it is to move out of your grasp. That's a huge thing to realize when you look and you open your eyes and you suddenly see we're all dominated by this fear. The world at the moment is all dominated by the shadow frequency. Not that everyone is all the time, because there are people who are lifting themselves out of it. But for the world, for most people, the masses, that is their norm, the shadow frequency. Of course, they come in and out of it, but that's the general norm. Simply by shifting your attitude, you release the creative currents hidden within the shadow frequencies, and your life takes on a higher purpose. You see, that's it. The currents of creativity lie locked up in that shadow frequency band. So if you live as a victim of anything, if you believe there's anything outside you that can control your life, you've given away your power. But you've given it away, and you've become a victim of this shadow attitude. So as your attitude shifts, and on all levels of being, as you begin to open up your mind and your heart, you begin to tune into this higher purpose, and this higher purpose becomes alive in your being. Your very suffering becomes the source of your salvation. Great one line. Print that all over the internet. Send it round. Your suffering is the source of your salvation. Every shadow contains a gift. Beautiful. Thus begins your journey away from those internal patterns and traits that keep you believing you're a victim, and towards the inherent genius and love that is your true nature. Very concise, simply told story, that the shadow frequency is just something we attune to, and we're used to attune to. It's like the radio. You leave the radio on your thing. It's attuned to the negative news channel. It's on, or at the moment you switch it on, that's the only channel you know. So that's all you hear, all you take in, negative news, over and over and over again, morning, evening, night, unless you switch the radio off. But you can turn that dial. You can find, oh, there's something called positive news, and the positive news doesn't have to be not true. It's just a different spin on the same news. It's just put in a different way. So it's the same news, but someone's just telling it in a different way. They're showing like, well, yeah, this person died, but also this person was born. So it's a balanced way of looking at the world, and that's a silly example of how we attune through our attitude, through our thinking, and the moment we open up, using the Gene Keys as a way of opening up and expanding your awareness of what you're capable of through those Siddhi words, through those gift words, and release that creative energy into the world. And that's what changes everything in your life. So that's a real key one today, the shadow frequency band. It's the foundation of the whole view that comes from Gene Keys in this work. So I recommend you really look into those shadows, and then you understand the gifts that they contain. Good luck with it.